Hurricane Laura makes landfall in Cameron, Louisiana early this morning. Many reports of widespread damage and flooding all over Texas and Louisiana. At this hour, 11:41 a.m., Laura is inland in Louisiana, 75-mile-an-hour sustained winds, 982 millibars in pressure. And what do we have on the heels of Laura? That's right, my friends. Welcome back. August 27, 2020, 11:45 a.m. And as you can see, Louisiana and Texas and now Arkansas and Mississippi are all dealing with the aftermath and still current Hurricane Laura, which will go down in the record books as one of the strongest hurricanes to ever hit west of the Mississippi River. We did unfortunately have our first U.S. death report with Hurricane Laura. I believe it was a 14-year-old girl who was crushed in a car. Horrible news. But you could see the death toll is at 28. Most of those deaths taking place in Haiti before Laura was even a major hurricane. As you can see, report after report are coming in based on the damage caused by Hurricane Laura and what they're assessing at the moment. Cleanup for this storm will take a long time, and it also still is a Category 1 storm making its way through that southern border of Arkansas and Louisiana. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we have an invest in the Atlantic Ocean on its way towards the Leeward and Lesser Antilles Islands over the next 4 or 5 days. 20% chance of cyclone formation. We need to keep an eye on the warm water belt that goes from the west coast of Africa in towards the Leeward Islands and the U.S. We are going to see wave after wave. We are entering peak hurricane season. Laura will certainly not be the last major hurricane we see this year. I spent a decent amount of time watching radar scope last night, measuring the wind speeds that we saw near the eye of the hurricane. Now, typically, the northeastern side of hurricanes, usually in the northern hemisphere, the counterclockwise spin, we see our strongest winds usually in that quadrant. Basically, by quadrant, I mean if you were to stop the hurricane like that, you would put it into 4 quadrants. This area up here is usually the area that has the strongest winds. And I was monitoring some of the wind speeds last night, and you won't believe some of these numbers that I got. Take a look at this, my friends. At 8:38 p.m. Eastern Time, I was recording the wind speed of Hurricane Laura, and you were seeing this correctly. I recorded a wind gust of 210 miles per hour. Posted this on Twitter, got a little bit of a response, but check that out. There was many spots. You could see some of these purple shades, the 180-mile-an-hour range, upper 190s, and then a gust of 210 miles an hour. That's not it, though. A little less than an hour later, check this out, a wind gust of 217 miles an hour with many 180-mile-an-hour gusts around it. These were legit readings. I saw other people posting them on Twitter that have radar scope. Very useful app for tracking hurricanes and especially coast-approaching storms. But there you have it, my friends. 217-mile-an-hour wind gusts, maybe even gone higher. You could see at the bottom left corner right here, the chart goes up to 226 miles an hour. This was the fastest reading I got on this storm. If you guys remember a ways back, Hurricane Michael was projected to make landfall as a Category 4, and after it was all said and done, they went back and assessed it and determined that it was in fact a Category 5. That is very possible with Hurricane Laura as well, as the storm is still a hurricane going through Louisiana up into Arkansas and Mississippi. We need to keep an eye on this. This is very important, especially for the Northeast in the coming days. A quick look into the not so immediate but semi-immediate future. We do have wave after wave of these low pressure systems coming off the west coast of Africa, and I just want to show you what we may have on deck as far as tropical cyclones. If you see here, I have this set for September 6th. I'm going to back up a little bit to the first week of September, and you're going to see 2 low pressure systems coming off the west coast of Africa. This is the European model, the ECMWF, and then I'm going to show you the GFS, which shows a potential major hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean the first week of September, maybe a little bit after. But as I move forward here, you're going to see these 2 low pressure systems boom and boom pop up right here, and they're being measured at just about 1,000 millibars in pressure, maybe a little higher, as they approach the Lesser Antilles and Leeward Islands. Certainly something to keep an eye on, as most of these hurricanes without shear wind have the potential to become major hurricanes. And here's the GFS. Check out this low pressure system that kind of hooks up north of the Leeward, Lesser Antilles Islands and above Puerto Rico, almost in that area where it wants to make a move towards the northeast of the United States. All depends on the Bermuda Atlantic pressure bubble in the Atlantic Ocean. But watch the pressure drop to 955 is the last reading we get here before the GFS stops around September 11th or 12th, as we can see right here. September 12th being the last bit of data we get for this. This may change, more than likely will change, but nonetheless, another major hurricane being forecasted in the Atlantic Ocean as we are in peak hurricane season. I will continue to cover this storm as it continues to batter the coast of Louisiana and parts of Texas. We will watch this thing extend further north into the United States, soon to become an issue for more of the central states, and then up into the northeast. We will be following this nonstop. The official landfall for historical Hurricane Laura is Cameron, Louisiana. We could see it right there, making landfall early this morning. And last but not least, if anyone can find wind speeds that either match this or can help verify this, would be greatly appreciated. I saw a few in the 180s, but we sure did catch some mighty gusts within Laura. Thank you all very much for watching and staying tuned. I will have more videos out later on. We'll continue to monitor the Atlantic 2020 hurricane season. Far from over, my friends. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great afternoon. I will talk soon. Shout out to Ontario, Canada.